All right, you guys. First off, thank you very much for coming in. To everybody who's in Discord, what's up? This is Hakymu, and this is basics of basic training. So, in today's training, we're going to go over all of the buttons, what they do, little tricks that are basic tricks that everyone can know for their gaming pleasure. We'll go over some settings that I recommend that you have on for your heads-up display, and we'll go over any questions you guys have for basic gameplay. This will be for universal for all ships. If you want specifics of any classes and such, starting next week, we're going to be doing part two of training for CVs. So that's going to go into more detail, things that we did not go over in the first training. So launching fighters, basic tactics, things of that nature. And that's going to be led by Warhound, who's our resident CV player, and probably seconded by maybe a couple of other officers to be announced. But if you guys are going to be wanting to do CVs, since clan battles are coming up, I figured that CVs are going to be important. So we'll have that coming up next week for everybody. So those people who are going to be in, you're in. We're doing tier 6 to tier 8 ships. And we're going to start our basics right now. So Cyber, load up. Oh, here we go.
I just got in. Sorry, I was having issues.
It's all good. You are all good, sir. Everybody's welcome.
Ooh, can I ask questions?
Of course, you may ask questions, good sir. If you have one right now, shoot.
I'm good. I just wondered if I could or not. All right, cool.
Of course. $5 the first question, 50 cents each additional
User
question.
joined your channel.
Okay, question. Did you create a training room or how?
It goes to support the team speak.
All right, gentlemen, in front of you, you should have absolutely nothing. Hold on, my waifu speaking. All right, basic number one, look down at your heads-up display. You should see HEAP. Your middle should be, if you have torpedoes, or torpedo tube, which is number 3. And then you should have RT, Y, or whatever letters that you are using, because you can change the letters if you want to, but I just keep it basic, RT, Y, and U for your consumables, if you have any.
Hack, are you doing this in a training room or are you just going over stuff?
I'm sorry?
Are you doing this in a training room or are you just going over stuff?
I am in a
Hakymu's
training
hosting
room.
a training
Yes.
room.
Okay. And
So yeah, just type in my name, and it should come up, and then the password's all caps AOD1. All right, guys. So first things first. Here's a little trick that I learned. First trick. Try to keep your as you are leveling up, going through the boats, different tiers and stuff. You're gonna find that you might have different consumables. If you do have different consumables, but you are used to certain letters being certain consumables, like for myself, R is always going to be repair, because that's easy. It's an alliteration for me and it works. So I keep that for every single boat in every single class that I do. Now, you can change that if you like in your equipment slot. You can actually change where you want consumables under which letters. But for me, I usually keep it for R for the repair module. I usually use T for one of two. If I'm in battleships, T is going to be my heal that I have. If it is on a cruiser, I use it for heal. But if it's on a destroyer, I usually use T as my smoke screen. So whatever letters that you are using, try to stay with the same letters. That way your muscle memory will always be the same. That's pretty much the first basic trick that I can teach you guys. because that way you're not reinventing the wheel every time you're going up different tiers. And when you're crossing tiers in the different classes, if you try to keep them relatively the same, you won't have any problems. Questions so far?
Yeah, you want to move me?
I can't while I'm actually inside
Oh,
the
okay.
game.
All right. That's all right. Most of what you're going over, it's like, oh,
All right. Next basic thing. When you are shooting something, MVK, I'm about to fire at you. If you want to fire on somebody, first you point your mouse toward whomever you're shooting at. Right now I am focused on Dallas. Now I'm focused on Lash Knife. And you will get a heads up, a little tracker on it saying that you're locked on. If I were to fire right now on Lash Knife while being locked on to MVK, your accuracy will drop. Just FYI. So it's good to shoot at what you're actually locked onto, in case you missed that. So right now I'm gonna shoot at MVK. Don't worry, I'm shooting HE. If you hold down your mouse click for your fire, it will fire all of the rounds, all of the whatchamabobbers, what are those things called? Turrets. All of the gun turrets at the same time. If you want to fire them individually, you can quickly tap them to shoot. For example, you can do that and shoot it that way. It'll take forever, but you are more than welcome to shoot that way. Please practice on somebody. Find a person to shoot at and either hold down your mouse button to fire or single click them to fire individual shots. So Lash Knife, MVK, hit it. Well, sure, you would fire at me. And do 4,000 points of damage. All right, any questions so far, gentlemen? And or ladies who are out there? Cool. All right, the next cool thing. If you want to switch between shells, HE or AP, the standard way is to double click whichever shell you want to go to. Right now I am on HE, and if I want to go to AP, I double click it twice on the number 2. And that will reload your AP shells. If you want to switch to HE, then you double click 1, and that will switch it to HE. Now doing this mid reload is going to take forever, just FYI, unless you have the captain skill to help reduce it. But here's a nice little trick that I learned just recently. If you only single click, say right now I'm on HE and you want to go to AP and you want to make your next shot, the next shot as in the second shot that you have, an AP shot, single click the AP button. Or if you're doing vice versa, if you're shooting AP and you want your next shot to be HE, single click the next one and that will highlight the next button. So that when you fire your next round, it will automatically reload into the next shot that you want to fire, which will be AP. This makes it faster and you don't have to wait. You just fire your next round and it will automatically go to the next type of shot that you want to shoot. So why don't you guys try that?
Hey, Hack, so if I have AP loaded and I hit 1 and I fire my shells, right?
Yes.
HE will come up the next time.
Correct.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I always would shoot my shells first and then change. But
yes. And
don't do that.
You can do that, but this is a lot faster. You can load up your AP, have it loaded, but then if you know you're going to be burning someone down because they're turning and they're no longer broadside, you just click HE, the next one, have it highlighted. And after you fire your next AP round, it will automatically change to the HE round.
Nice.
I've also noticed that if you do that, it causes a salvo fire if your guns are ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
It will clear out all of your guns.
Can
Break
you
to the next
click
one.
or press the number? I guess you have to click, right? Versus
No, you
once
can
versus
press the number. If you
Press the
just do the number once or double tap the number.
If you double tap the number, it will change it right then and there. If you single click the number, you have to fire
It'll
your
set
guns
it.
first, and that will then click it to the next one. So it's like clocking a gun.
One thing I've noticed is that if you do for the pre-setup for changing your rounds, and you rely on pressing down on, say, your fire button, it will only shoot one turret, at least for me it does. And then it will switch out all the turrets at the same time. So you may keep that in mind. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that or not. If you're wanting to still use all your turrets for your previous shell type, you may want to try to double click on that firing sequence instead of just hold click. Or yeah, hold click or single click.
That is correct. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Any questions so far on any of this? All right, cool. All right, let's go over some maneuvering. If you have your standard keyboard set up, W is power up, S is the throttle back, S is port, D is starboard, Q is the lock, either half or max hard left, or port since we're nautical, or the E key. If you hit, now here's a little trick. If you hit the E key after, let's say you're turning hard left, hard to port. If you click the E key, it will shift to half, what's that thing called? Rudder. It will shift to half rudder. If you want to release it altogether, you have to either click A or D. And that will release the lock on your rudder. Now, everyone steers differently. For battleships, I recommend locking it so that you're not holding down the A key or holding down the D key to go full rudder or full rudder either way. It's a lot faster. However, when you're in a destroyer and you lock your rudder, it is very easy to forget that you're actually turning, because then you'll realize, oh snap, my guns do not turn as fast as my ship does, and you'll lose your lock. So that's when you would want to use your A and D keys. So why don't you practice, guys, maneuvering? Throttle up with the W key. And as you can see, you can do it one of two ways. You can either push it and push it 4 times to get the full, or push the S key to go 4 times down to stop. Or you can hold down the W or S keys to do the same thing. Now, depending on your boat, you will have better acceleration or deceleration. It all depends on the boat. You can practice in a practice room, in a training room, or you can practice in a co-op battle if you want to. But either way, let's practice. Let's do some steering exercises.
All right, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Below stop is full.
Yes, that's
That-
going full reverse.
Okay, that is weird.
Now, for DDs, if you are going at full speed, like right now I'm going at full speed, which is 37 and a half knots. If I were to push it all the way back full, it will stop my acceleration extremely quickly. And that's the fastest way to decelerate in a boat, whether you're in a DD or in a cruiser. Yes, that's a great way. Think of a car's transmission. All right.
Okay.
Now, here's a really cool trick. Just like in a car, if you're turning at full speed, whatever the turning radius of that boat is, that's how big of a turn circle you're going to do. However, if you know anything about physics, if you slow down and go hard left or hard right, as soon as you're in the apex of the turn, you gun it, you will make a smaller turning circle and you will turn much quicker. So why don't you try that? Go at full speed, push it, slam it down to either quarter or full, and do a hard left or right. You will find that you will turn much faster.
Hey, Hack,
Yes, sir.
somebody told me this, and at least my game, I haven't read it in the game or seen it on a video, but one of our guys mentioned this in clan battles this fall, that if you're in a turn, it raises your bow up and you're more susceptible to getting citadeled.
It
'Cause
is
you're-
not your bow that you're raising, it raises
or
your
not-
keel.
Your keel. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
No problem. Your bow is the front of the boat, your keel is the bottom. Yes, that is correct. If you guys are making a turn, especially in open water like this is, in either ocean or any other map that has a lot of openings, anytime you make a hard left or a hard right, I know it's nautical port or starboard, your keel is wide open. And if you have an underwater citadel, or if you're just broadside to somebody, you will get butt smurfed. Guaranteed. Someone will see you and say, "Oh, look, there's Lash Knife. He's making a hard left turn. Bye."
Alright, I have a question now.
Yes, sir.
Can you point out the Citadel?
It varies
Yes,
from ship to ship.
it does. However, 9 out of 10 ships are usually in the following place. Focus in on on Lash Knife, the Grash Bay.
Okay.
All right. You see where his con tower is at?
Yeah, the big thing? Yeah.
Yes, the tallest structure on his ship.
Okay.
Take your con tower and go to the first turret in the front.
Okay.
Now go right below that to where those numbers on those two dots, the bottom dots.
Yeah.
From there to the water line is usually where 90% of ships' citadels are located. They're either at the water line or just below the water line, but usually in that middle area. Now, some ships do vary. Some ships' citadels are a little bit more forward. Some ships' citadel are a little bit back from the smokestack to maybe the rear gun turret. But they're usually in between that box area. So if you aim at that area, more than likely you're going to get either a lot of pens or you're going to get a citadel. Now, granted, RNG does exist. And if you don't know what RNG means, random number generator. In other words, it will fall somewhere in that area. And sometimes you'll get a belt hit, sometimes you'll get a non-pen, sometimes you'll get a torpedo belt hit. But yes, as Cypher is saying inside chat right now, if you go into your armor layout, you can see where your own ship's citadel is located. Get rid of the front bow, get rid of the side cheeks, and you will find a big red juicy spot in the center of the ship. That's where your citadel is at.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Now, as Goldie said, every ship is different. So I am using a universal term. 9 out of 10 ships, usually that's where the citadel is located. So if someone's going broadside to you, in other words, their entire side is facing you beautifully, take that shot every single time with AP. And you will get a better chance at a citadel. Now, carriers, however, are a completely different animal altogether. And that we can go into with carrier next week.
Excuse me.
I am looking at you, and I can actually shoot you right now, but I will not.
I can as well.
Any other questions, good sir?
I'm good for now. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Now, torpedoes. Cruisers and destroyers are usually the ones that have torpedoes. There are some battleships that do have torpedoes. However, most people are yes, results do vary. Most people, though, cruisers and destroyers are the ones with torpedoes. How do you shoot torpedoes, Hacky? Very simple. Hit the 3 button. You will get, depending on who you're shooting at, lash knife. Start moving. Right now, I am looking at lash knife. On your screen, if you're in Discord, you will see a white area. That white area is your lead. If he sails in a straight line, and you line up your shot, your arrow, your heads-up display on that white line, and lash continues to sail in a straight line, you will hit him flush with 80 to 100% of your torpedoes. That line is a guiding line for you. Now, the best way to line up torpedoes is either to fire dead center or just a little bit ahead or just a little bit behind, because you never know what your opponent is going to do. So you might as well blanket the area. Now, most torpedoes have 2 settings. Some have single shot torpedoes, like the Jutland,
British.
pretty much British line, have single ones where, actually, I think I do have one on those. Yes! See how my heads-up display shrinks to 1? I can shoot lash knife. I'm going to shoot in front of you, so don't trip. I can fire 1 torpedo at a time wherever it is I'm shooting in this green area. You cannot fire a torpedo if you are not aiming in the green area. That is your field of fire for your firing arc for your torpedoes. And you can only fire, at least doing single fire, the same amount of torpedoes that you would in a full volley. In this particular case, it's 4. If I wanted to fire a full volley, which I can, my second salvo, I can fire a full volley. And all 4 of my torpedoes will fly out somewhere in that arc, RNG dependent. It will fire within that arc towards my target. Now, if you're in a battleship or you're in a cruiser, you want to try to find the gap in order to avoid as many torpedoes as possible. If you are a DD, you can have a much easier way of doing it. If you're in a battleship, that's why you fire those bad boys. So, to give an example, I'm going to fire at lash knife. And lash knife is going to go in a straight line. Don't worry, I'll only use 1 salvo. That should not kill you. They're British torps, so they're not going to kill you. Hey, they're British torps. They're not going to kill you.
Yeah, they're pillows.
All right, you notice how the white line is moving. Now, if I were to line up in a shot and I would have fired that 1 salvo, theoretically, that shot will line up with him. If you click the Z button, you can actually see where your torpedoes are going. It's disorienting, but it's pretty cool. Now, as you can see, I just missed. The Z button lets you follow your ordnance. if I were to fire my guns at Lash Knife, like so, and hit the Z button, I can follow where my guns go. So Z tracks your ammo fire. Any questions so far?
Is it Z to get back to the original view then?
Yes. For those of you who have
Get
a
out
middle
of
mouse
here. I
button.
didn't know that.
Yeah, if you
Nice.
have a middle mouse button. All right.
I have a
Yes.
question
Yes.
that I asked this earlier, but what's the difference between HE and AP? I know AP is armor piercing, right?
Yes. AP means armor piercing. HE is high explosive, which sets fires. When you're usually shooting at battleships, especially if you're in a DD, HE is what you want to use because your AP rounds more than likely will not penetrate the armor. But your HE, you want to start fires and burn whoever you're shooting that down. So your large battleships, some cruisers, well, all cruisers. I mean, you want to burn them down. If you're shooting at other destroyers, most people recommend shooting HE, but there's some destroyers that AP is so good you can shoot other destroyers with AP rounds and pretty much butt smurf them.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cypher. HE explodes on contact. AP will penetrate through X armor amount in the game. And that's all with whatever mechanics and stuff that you guys are using. Now, SAP rounds. Oh, dear God. SAP rounds will never, I repeat, never Citadel. However, they will do a shit ton of damage.
What's sap rounds?
Semi armor piercing.
Should have brought my transit.
Pretty much Italian line and a couple of other boats that are not Italian. They have SAP rounds. And they hurt. They can average 10,000 points a salvo because they almost penetrate, but they hurt you.
Good lord.
Yeah, and Cypher is getting into the more details of how AP works against ship armors and stuff. Technically, we won't go over that because that gets into the whole math of the game.
I was gonna
And
ask how you know what the armor of the enemy ship is.
the basics is this: if you have big guns, you're going to over penetrate X amount of millimeters of armor. Automatically, you will overmatch, which means you're going to pin it and you're going to hurt them. Some low caliber guns, it's just like think of it as armor. Okay, a 357 Magnum will never penetrate a Sherman tank. However, a 357 Magnum will completely blow through a car engine because of the thickness of metal behind it. Make sense?
Yeah, thanks.
It's like shooting a BB gun at a piece of wood versus shooting a BB gun at steel, or shooting a howitzer through paper versus shooting a howitzer through 10 inches of steel. One will do a shit ton of damage, the other one will laugh at you. That's basically how this game works, and that gets into extreme parts of math and memorization. And it's like poker. You know, two pair will beat one pair, and trips will always beat two pair. But then if you get to the math behind it as to when to bet and when not to bet, and so on and so forth, that's when it gets insane.
Yeah, plus the angle and range and all that stuff.
Yep. Yep.
It's physics.
And
Hey,
then
hey, Hack. I
yes,
wanted
sir.
to say on the torpedoes that was really good. I just a little bit on tactics. I think two rules: always try to torp into enemy smoke. And the one thing, just sharing an experience, because of the variability, ships are moving around all the time. I always try to set torps where there's kind of multiple targets grouped together, because I always end up hitting the target that I'm not aiming at.
That is true.
Seems to have been effective for me. I just wanted to share that.
That is true. All right.
The
If you are
AI,
I'm sorry?
like the AI who goes right into front of your torps and you get in trouble for it. Like, it's not my fault the AI decided to
That's
walk
a
in front of my
different matter.
torps.
Yeah. Oh, also, I forget the other basic mechanics of the game. If you look to the right, you will see on my screen where it says detected. Or if because of my mod, it will tell me how long someone's hydro is up if I'm in their range, or if their radar is up if I'm within their range. Your detection, the hydro or the radar, that's a mod. But the actual detected, that is an actual game mechanic. If someone sees you outside of 5 kilometers, you're going to get an exclamation point and something that says detected. Always keep that in mind. Now, depending on your captain skill, if you have the captain skill, what is it? High alert, I believe. It will tell you how many people are actually aiming at you. Now, if you care about this because you want information, and some people swear by this, I don't, but if you do, and that's cool, if you have high alert and you want to know how many people are shooting at you, or at least aiming at you, it will give you a number on the bottom right, telling you how many people are aiming at you. Now, here's the rub. If that number all of a sudden disappears, but you still have that detected signal on it, that means a DD is somewhere nearby and they're probably going to torp your butt. Move. Get out of Dodge, because more than likely there are torps coming at you and they're going to hurt you. The game's about to end in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm about to ram Cypher.
Shoot. You meanie.
No hit.
Oh!
Oh,
Terran slash. Aw, at least I was able to kite you.
You just wanted to shoot me with your guns, big bully.
I have guns. I got secondaries for days.
All right. The next round we're gonna look at your settings. Go up to the top left where you see those gears and click that. You will see your game menu. Click settings. You will see graphics, audio, and controls. Now, depending on your video card is where you want to have your graphics and stuff. I'll leave that to you because everybody is different. Mine is on high. If you have a really bad video card, it might be medium or low. It all depends on everybody. However, there are some things that I do recommend that you do use. Go to controls. When you click on controls, you will see battle camera, controls, and a whole bunch of other stuff on the bottom here.
User left your channel.
I recommend the following being turned on. The first one, show both main battery and TT's loads indicator. Recommend you have that on because it shows you the times for loading up your guns and such. Also recommend your show smokescreen boundaries. This is especially important if you're using DDs because you can see how far you can move within your smokescreen without being seen. But you also have the other end of that sword. That's also where more than likely you're gonna see torpedoes coming at you. Because once people see a smokescreen and they see something shooting at it, out of it, people are gonna drop torps into it. And you cannot see them unless you have hydro on. or someone nearby has hydro on. Otherwise, you will not see said torpedoes until it's too late. I also recommend you turn on show smoke screen timer. When you activate your smoke screen on the top left, it will give you a timer for how long your smoke lasts. Every country is different. The shortest is British. After that, it's German. Then it's Japanese, and then it's American. American has that deep smoke. Oh yeah, we love to smoke. And then, and then the last two I also recommend. Your counter for damage upon spotting. That's important, especially for missions. You want to know that. Counter for potential damage. That's also good for some missions. Now, these next couple of interfaces are all optional. Terrain hit indicator. This is important, especially if you get tunnel vision when you're aiming at somebody and you're driving at the same time. Your terrain hit indicator will at least let you know when you're going to run into a mountain or an island or something. Now, some people do have the collision avoidance system on, which means the boat will automatically try to steer you out of the way. This has its pros and cons. Pros, of course, you will not theoretically bump into something. Con is if you're trying to dodge torpedoes and you're intentionally trying to beat yourself, but because that collision avoidance is on, it will turn, and all of a sudden you're turning into torpedoes or going the way that you don't want to go, and then I'm toast. So play
That
it.
happened to myself way too many times.
We've all had that happen to us. Now, there's two more things I want to show you guys. First, on the controls. Right now, I have it on default, and that's all the buttons that we've been showing you. There's a couple of controls that I will show you in game that we have not talked about yet, which is the B button, M button, and a couple of others. But right now, look at your ship controls so you can see what's what. And this is the basic ones. A is hard left, D is hard right, speed up, speed down, W and S. Going starboard or port is E and Q, as we mentioned. The weapons controls and all the buttons, 1, 2, 3, depending on what things. Now, you do have the option of changing this if you want to. Most people do not, but you can change it if you like. And you have that option right there. Questions so far? All right, thank you. The counter for spotting potential damage. Now, on DDs especially, you can get points or you can get experience for spotting damage. In other words, you will see a little crosshair up on the top right. And if you can see an enemy ship, that means everybody can see the enemy ship. And you can tell them, hey, shoot at that guy. And we will show you that in this next go around when we drop next. And you can get experience for doing that. And plus, there are some missions that actually want you to spot for your team. Yeah, and we'll go into more of that on DD tactics. Excuse me while I take a drink. And then the counter for potential damage. There are also missions that want you to take potential damage. In other words, this is incoming damage that the enemy shoots on you. So some games are like, you can get this if you take 2 million points of potential damage. I'll tell you right now, nobody can do that in a destroyer, because there is no destroyer that can take 2 million points of damage. And if you can, you're lying.
Potential damage is defined as any shell or ordnance that passes within 700 meters of your boat.
Shell or torpedoes.
Think about the most I've ever gotten is close to 1 million in a French DD because they don't have smoke.
Cool. I think I've done 1 million once in my Holland.
Another one, no smoke.
But you take the most damage, obviously, in a battleship. So, yeah. If people like to shoot at you, then you just say, come at me, bro. All right. The last thing that I want to show you guys in settings is crosshair, which is right dead in the middle. So hit select crosshair. Now, you have two options when you have select crosshair. You have static, which gives you the standard crosshair that everybody has. Now, this crosshair on standard, you can select whichever type you want with standard, with this crosshair, and it will change as you can see. You can select whichever type you want. You want eyeball, you want eyeballs with colors, if you just want lines and such with ticks on it. Now, each one of these ticks are your seconds of flight time for your guns, and you're leading your target. So if you're in a static and you zoom in, it will show you how far your target is in seconds. Each tick mark is a second. However, your static crosshair is only locked to 20 knots. As you know, most destroyers and most cruisers go at least 30 plus, unless you're French and you're going warp speed. Now,
I like warp speed.
and warp speed's just fine. However, it is more difficult to lock onto somebody in a static crosshair. Some people are used to it and they figured it out. Like, for instance, if you know a DD is going 40 miles an hour and they're 4 seconds away, well, on a 20 tick static thing, you line it up to 4, that will be 20 knots. If they're going 40, you double it. So you give them an 8 tick lead, and then you fire. Then you try to put it somewhere between 8 and 9 to shoot wherever you're going to be shooting at. Some people are good at doing that math in their head and just lining it up and doing that.
Yeah, I do that.
Now, if you are like me and you like math, but you don't want to do math, you just want to play your game, then I strongly recommend you do dynamic. Now, with dynamic, if you have a mod, you can get really fancy. However, the standard mod will give you a ranging tick that will size up, smaller, higher, lower, bigger, or smaller, but it's still usually 20 knots. Because I'm using a mod, mine is a nomogram classic. The top numbers are scaled to 30 knots. The bottom numbers are scaled to 20 knots. So now I can lead a lot easier against cruisers and most destroyers if I'm using the top knot. DVR put into the TeamSpeak one of our forum threads on this topic. I strongly recommend you go to the forums if you don't usually do. If you just go to the forums to click so you get your 1 day out of the month a standard out of the way. Yay, you're doing your job, but guess what? The forums are a great source of information. Everything that I'm talking about is located in the forums, but in verbal form. This is just a way to do it in real time and to actually have a recording for it. So for those people who don't like to read. But all of this is in the forums, and the forums are a great resource to find all the different mods, to find the best layout for ships, outfitting them, captain skills. Yes, sir.
Just for the recording, for the record. So the post is in World of Warships, our Naval Academy. Crosshairs in You. It was posted by Warmth on 10/26. So if you want to go dig it up, that's how you find it.
You the man,
It's really
DVR.
good.
You the man. So I recommend you use a dynamic crosshair, and that way you can see exactly. You can be better at shooting. It works for me, and I'm telling you, my Citadel hits have gone up because of it, and that's no BS. All right, we're gonna jump in. So if you're coming in, if you haven't come into the training room, I'll give you 1 minute to jump in. Once again, come in the training room. Look for my name, Hakymu, H Hotel Alpha Keanu Yama Moo United.
If you just type in hack, it'll come up.
You can do that too. And the and password is AOD1, all caps.
How do you find the training room?
Are you level 15 or higher? If you are, go up to the top where it says random battles. Click on that. You should see a display that has a whole bunch of different game modes. On the bottom right, it should say training room and it's in blue.
And what was the password? AOD?
AOD1, caps.
Alright, I'm gonna rest a bit because I'm tired. yeah, thanks.
Cool. Last call.
Fresh coal for alcohol.
User disconnected from your channel.
I was hoping someone would say that.
So it's the guy who doesn't drink. I don't drink.
I don't either.
Every time I drink, I bust out DUI. I don't drink.
Dun dun dun.
Right there with you, mate.
My
turn.
Oh,
Every
friendly
single
drunk.
time I drank, just shitting fun 3 days after.
Later, guys. Okay, we can do drinking stuff after the training. All right. Now, a couple of things I will show you in game that I haven't shown you guys yet with controls. As you can see, turning your mouse left or right, you can get a nice little scan of the area. If you have a wheel on your mouse, you can scroll in and look at your ship and say, "Ooh, pretty."
Yeah, if you got a French ship, you might have park benches.
Show 'em what we've got, chaps.
Hold on, my wife who's talking. I have no idea what she's saying, but she's so cute. All right, a couple of things I will show you that I have not talked about. First, the N button. Hit the N button right now. Go.
If you're horny.
Yes, that is your horn. I mean, it's just like your car. If someone's driving into you, hit the horn. All right. Now, if you ever wondered how people say this,
Provide anti-aircraft fire support.
Concentrate fire on that enemy warship.
you ever wondered how you can say that to people? Well, first off, if you hit the control key and hold it down, then you activate your mouse. Now you have a mouse just like a cursor. You can go into the chat bar. If you want to talk to people, to everybody, you can tab whichever one you want to go to. Right now, I just said hi to everybody on both sides, and the whole world can see. Now, if the writing is in white, it means the entire world can see you.
On Neptune's beard.
If you go in and click the bar again and tab it to team. If it's in green, you can just talk to your own team. That way the enemy cannot see what you're typing.
Point of
Don't
reference.
don't confuse the two, because you can say, hey, everybody go to BCAP. And then you start going to BCAP and you wonder, wait, why is everyone over there? How did they know? Oops, I've been telling the whole world. So make sure you know which one you're clicking on.
Point of reference here, Hack. If you're in a
Yes, sir.
division, there's three settings, 3 tabs.
Yes, sir, there is. Thank you, Goldie. If you are in a division, you can actually talk to your division and tell your mates if they don't have TeamSpeak.
It will be in gold.
Yes, it will be in gold. Now, another cool setting that you guys, I recommend you have. Look to your right. You see that big or small little screen there that has a map on it? That's your mini map. Get to know your mini map. Your mini map is your friend. Now, depending on if you have a number key or not, if you hit minus, it will shrink your mini map. If you hit the plus sign, it will max it out. I recommend you max it out. Now, another key that's also important, this is especially important to DRV, is the P key. Hit the P key right now. If you hit the P key, you will see that your secondaries and AA guns are disabled or enabled. How do you know they're enabled or disabled, Aki? Very simple. Look on the bottom where your guns and your torpedo displays are, where it says 1, 2, 3, and so on. Right next to it to the left, if you see a P, that means the letter P as in Paul. It will show you that your secondaries and your AA is off. This is especially important for DDs, because once your AA starts going off, everybody, especially planes, can find you. If your AA is off, you have a smaller screen, and planes cannot find you as easy.
Hey, Hack, what's the general difference in detectability with AA on versus off? Is it 1
Say
kilometer,
about
would you say?
plus or minus 3 or 4.
3 or 4, it's that big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Now,
For,
how do you
for
find
you guys
that?
that don't know, think about that when you're playing DD.
How do you find that? Hit the H key. If you hold down the H key, it will tell you what your detectability range is. Right now, standard for my ship, it's 5.5 kilometers. It will also say what your detectability is after firing your main gun shell, while smoke, when your AA guns are firing, and what your detectability is when you are on fire. The top numbers are for sea vessels only, not planes. That's where the second group of numbers come in, because you can see for for any carriers right now, my detectability is 2 kilometers. If my AA guns start going off, it's now 5.8. Okay, that's 3.3 kilometers more. That means they can find you further out and say, "Oh, look, DD, die." If you hold down the H key, you will see also what your max firing range is. In my case, it's 12 kilometers. Your max torpedo range, which is also in my case 12 kilometers, and your AA gun range, which is 5.8 kilometers for me. So for your ship, every ship is going to be different. So holding down the H key gives you that information.
It's also on your mini map.
Yes, thank you, which is what I'm about to get to next, sir. You great Segui. No, it's a great Segui. Hold down the control key and scroll and move your mouse over to just above the mini map, where you will see little screen When you click on it, you have to keep holding down your control key, otherwise it disappears.
Huh. I got no mouse pointer.
So, if you hold down your control key and you click on the screws, you will see there are a whole bunch of controls. The top one says detectability range by sea, by air, and AA guns. Now, for me, I like to know what my detectability is by sea. So I always have that clicked on for me, especially for DDs. And right now, mine is 5.5. Very useful information for me. Also, the main battery firing range and torpedo
DRV, you've got a
ranges.
hot mic.
Yes, someone is on DRV. Thanks, buddy. The main battery firing range and torpedo ranges are automatically on. Now, there are also two controls below that: transparency of circles and water transparency. Depending on your preferences, is how light or dark you want to have it. Everyone's preferences are different, so I'll let you guys play with that on your own to see what you like or dislike. However, this next two are important. Range numerical values. I like to have that clicked on because then I can see how far things are from my circles. I also like to see ship names instead of just seeing uh, uh, icons. If I just turn the icons off, I know that if I'm looking at the mini map, I see that there is a destroyer out there, there's a battleship, and there's 2 cruisers, 3 cruisers. If I turn the ship names on, I now know what they have. And if you are good and know your ships, that will help you. That's valuable information. You know that a Sims, all right, they have a quick reload time on their torps and they have fast guns and they're pretty evil. Okay, oh, it's an Atlanta. Oh, well, that has this, that, and a third. Oh, it's a Lennon. Well, that has this, that, and a third, and so on and so forth. It will help you as you get to know this game better and you know which ships are which and what you want to shoot at. How do I know what I want to shoot at, Hacky? That goes to this next button. Push and hold down the B button. You should see a huge circle on it. Right in the middle, you have your heads-up display for your aiming reticle. And then you have a whole bunch of other stuff.
Denied. Get back.
Holding down B and putting your cursor over any of those will tell what you want to do. But how do I want to, say I want to shoot at Golden. If I hold down B, put my aiming reticle over the Golden, on the top it will say enemy cruiser. Now I'm telling my team I want to fire, everyone should fire at Golden. Right now, everyone fire at Golden. On my side, go. Now, everyone on the opposite team, on the Reds, the Sims, on Lash's team, everyone lock on to the Lenin. First Lash, you can tell everyone to shoot at the Lenin, and then shoot at the Lenin. Hey, you have more hit points than me. So B is a very valuable thing. You can request support. You can tell someone to get back. Setting a smoke screen.
Interesting. Okay, now my attention to, it's the same problem I've had in this game all along. It's grayed out.
Same here.
If you have it grayed out, you have to have your aiming reticle on what you're talking to or what you want to have shot at.
Far away. There it is. Yeah, it's an F3 key. Yeah. He's just out of my range.
Concentrate fire on the
The brute
designated
force way
target.
of doing it is left clicking to free look and putting your aiming reticle on whomever you want to aim at. You can do either one. I can brute force. I've been used to brute forcing it. But other people now my function keys, because my function keys are something else, I don't mess with them. But if you like to use function keys, more power to you. Oh, sorry. Right click. I'm sorry. Thank you, Lash. My bad. Right click. Yes, right click is it. The free look.
I don't use it.
So if you want to tell one of your teammates to get back, look at your teammate, have them in your firing reticle, hit the B button.
Get back!
You can tell them to give you support or get back or anything like that.
Get back!
You can tell them, Roger, thank you, hell no. You can say, well done. You can curse. Good luck. So play around with it till you get used to it. Go for it. Yes, I do. That's my waifu. Oh, I do free look. I free look to go look at people because I don't want my guns to turn. So if I free look, my guns can stay trained on whoever I'm wanting to shoot at. But then if I free look, then my guns don't turn with me.
I
That's
mostly
kind of
play
important.
CV
You're
and
going to wind up with
PD,
your
so I
guns off
don't use
target.
free look that
Yes.
much. I'd be using a lot more if I played BB more often.
Yeah, I use it all.
It takes practice. So once you take this time, I'll give you 2 minutes to practice. Play around.
I really wish it was a toggle rather than having to be held down.
What was that?
I wish free
It
look
is.
was a toggle.
Look at the F numbers. It's the F3 key, and whichever ship you point at, usually it'll give you, unless you need something specific. If you point at your own ship, it'll ask for support. If you point at an enemy ship, it'll call attention to it.
I'm talking about free look.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. Kind of drifted off. I was watching stuff.
Intelligence data.
Any questions on the B key?
Mm-hmm.
All right. One more button that we haven't talked.
Nice work.
The M key. This is especially important for carriers, and when we go into carrier training next week, we'll go more into it. But if you hold down the M key, sorry, not hold down, but click the M key, you will get an overhead map. But it's not just that, it is also autopilot. You can tell where you want your boat to go automatically. To get out of it, you hit the M key again.
Nice crash.
Cypher.
Hey, I'm doing on autopilot right now. So this is
I know. I
especially
watched your ship bob up and down when you bumped it.
this is especially important for carriers because carriers need to do this because they cannot launch planes and steer at the same time. So that M key is good. Now it's not really practical for regular boats, for all the other ship classes, but it is extremely practical for carriers.
What do you mean? I love to use it when I'm multitasking. I'll tell my ship to go somewhere, go roll a cigarette, change something on the other end.
Oh,
I
yeah.
like using it when playing BB.
All right. Am I missing any buttons or keys?
If in minimap
Oh, yes.
and you're using autopilot, you can hold down shift to set multiple waypoints, and then you can click and drag said waypoints.
Yep.
And we're going to go over that
That's
with
good to
carrier
know.
training
Yep.
next week. But yes, sir, that is exactly true. Oh, there's one more button I have not used. Yes, thank you, Lash Knife. You read my brain. The O key. Since we don't have any carriers in here. Oh, yes, we do. Where are you?
No, there's no carrier.
There's
Oh,
no
we don't have
carrier.
carriers in here. All right. If you hold down the O key, depending on your line of sight, is where you focus your fire with your AA guns. On the left, on your ship orientation, you will see a green screen, like a green thing with a countdown on it, and then it will go to brown, and that shows which direction your AA guns are going to be focus firing on. But it only does that in your line of sight area. So if you're facing the port and you click O, then that's the line of fire for the port. If you free look or aim the opposite way and hit O, it will focus fire the opposite side. So you can either do it free look or you can do it by aiming. It doesn't matter which one. Boy, everyone has itchy trigger fingers today.
Yeah, I'm.
No,
Well, I don't know if you've seen my
setting
I'm gonna
and
bow
ship.
out. I'm kind of getting bored.
saying set
Not
turning
not
on
your
your
training.
game.
It's just after 5 years. This is, well, good review, but not necessary for me at this point.
All right. Any other questions on any of the buttons that I missed? Ah, yes, thank you. If you hold down the control button, you will get your free mouse again. Now, when you do that, you can focus fire secondaries. I don't have it on my DD, but on boats that have secondaries, so cruisers and battleships, you will see a little circle that goes on your little cursor. If you click that boat, you can focus fire your secondaries on said boat. It will make your secondaries more accurate, especially if you have that captain skill. If you don't have that captain skill, your secondaries will go willy-nilly on both sides. But if you have the captain skill and you click on the ship that you want to focus fire on, it will have that side will be more accurate on what you want to shoot. All right, I get the hint. If everybody is antsy and they're cool, then let's start shooting. Thanks, devil.
You're welcome. I wanted to the whole game, so.
You just wanted to shoot me, huh?
Basically.
Okay, well that is basic training, you guys. If you have any questions on any of the buttons or moves or anything like that, please feel reference to this or ask any questions right now, because as soon as you guys are done poning each other, let's do one battle together so we can see what you've learned. Then we'll go into randoms and do some real stuff. Thank you, Lash. We appreciate it.